Chapter 50. Academy Days Part 9. Tangled Strings. Hidden Leaf Hospital. Sonata runs her hand over Shizuna's belly. The chakra-coated hand stings and tickles at the same time, but it's a feeling that Shizuna is so familiar with that she barely notices, although the baby kicking inside is definitely not a familiar feeling, but is certainly a pleasant one. Iruka stands beside her, holding her hand. Another pleasant feeling. Lady Tsunade, how are the preparations going? She asks, trying to distract herself. I told you they're going fine, Shizuna, stop worrying. I just worry that our resources will be run too thin. Maybe if we have Yakas and Io each head a small team for the hidden. Sonata places a hand over her mouth. I'm trying to work. Hush. Iruka chuckles and lightly squeezes her hand. It'll be fine. Sakura and Lady Tsunade know what they're doing, and you've personally trained many of the medics on staff. Put your faith in them. Shizuna lets out a muffled grumble. From the next bed over, Anko laughs. Oh, thank you. She's done nothing but worry about this for weeks. Kakashi chuckles. At least you have company. Oi, cause the workaholic is great company. Anko turns to Shizuna, who's resorted to glaring at her. After these babies get out, I'm taking you out to have some fun. You desperately need it. Yeah, well, she's never had to sit still for this long. Sonata pulls back the hand that was on Shizuna's belly, releasing her chakra. That's largely my fault, so consider this a late life lesson. She uncovers her pupil's mouth as well. I know very well how to have fun, thank you very much. Shizuna grumbles. How's Shihei, Lady Tsunade? Shihei is as healthy as can be. I don't foresee any issues. In a couple of weeks, we'll have a healthy, bouncing baby boy. Tsunade smiles warmly and leans down to kiss Shizuna on the forehead. Lady Tsunade. Shizuna stammers in protest from embarrassment, her cheeks flushed red. Not in front of everyone. She grumbles, turning away from the rest in the room. Sonata then turns around to check up on Anko. Just as before, she envelops her hand in chakra and runs it over her belly. How's it looking, Doc? Anko peers over to look at Sonata's hand. Is Azuki gonna be the most beautiful girl ever? Shizuna chuckles. Not with you as her mother. As soon she says that, she stiffens. She quickly covers her face and turns to her side. Oh no. I'm so sorry, I don't know why I said that. Oh, wow. Anko laughs. Shizuna, I am absolutely loving this snarky side of you. Maybe pregnancy is doing you some good, after all. I'm so sorry. Shizuna apologizes in a muffled voice, her hands now firmly glued to her face. You know everyone's gonna hear about this. She likes this at home, too, Iruka. Anko grins. Kakashi shakes his head, chuckling despite himself. Come on, play nice. Okay, fine. She shifts in her bed to get more comfortable. I'll only tell 30 people instead. Sonata pulls away her hand and stands up. Both Shihei and Azuki sound perfectly healthy. Anko, you can head home. If you feel anything, contact the hospital right away. What about Shizuna? Iruka asks. She'll stay here for a bit longer. Due date isn't that far, and I want to monitor her more closely. Don't worry, Iruka, you'll get her back. Sonata winks. Anko grins and points to her forehead. Don't I get a kiss, too? Shizuna once again hides from embarrassment. It seems to be everyone's favorite hobby lately. Sonata shakes her head and actually leans down to kiss Anko on the forehead. Anko stares at her blankly. I was only kidding, you know. I know you were. Sonata pats her on the shoulder. The Hokage jots down some notes on a clipboard, detailing their condition and the progress of their respective pregnancies. When she finishes, she attaches them to the end of the bed and heads for the door. You take care of yourselves. And remember, the only thing you need to worry about right now are the babies. Am I clear? She makes a general statement but is very cleary and very pointedly look at Shizuna as she says that. Shizuna sighs. Yes ma'am. Maybe these kids are the ones who'll grow up in a peaceful world. Sonata laments as she exits the room. Training Ground 5. Hanabi lunges forward delivering a series of strikes that Konohamaru dodges, pulling further back as she goes further forward. This is why you lost, you kept going on the offense. Konohamaru notes. You're usually more cautious. Hanabi jabs him in the chest. And this is why you lost, you kept going back. Where was that gung-ho attitude of yours? Konohamaru blocks Hanabi's strike and shoves her by the shoulder. Unlike a certain someone. I've learned to adapt to my enemy. Hanabi regains her balance after a brief stumble and activates her Byakugan. But you're yet to learn to shut your mouth, it seems. I'll take on that duty, then. Bring it. Konohamaru smears blood on his palm. I wasn't thinking of getting a rematch this soon, but I'll take it. Hanabi smirks. I've never seen someone this eager to lose. Okay, stop. Mogi jumps between the two of them. Can you two cut the sexual tension already? Geez. Both their faces turn beet red. What? Hanabi exclaims in outrage. Tension? With this baboon? I'd rather get punched by lightning again. Ha. Konohamaru laughs. As if she even knows what that is, stuck on her high horse. Hanabi stomps her foot. Gah. You're so. She deactivates her Byakugan and storms off to a nearby tree where her belongings have been placed while they train. I've had it with you. Yeah, well, I've had it with you. Konohamaru storms off to a different tree where Yuden is sitting, reading a book. Mogi looks between the two of them and face palms. Oh, brother. She follows Hanabi. Konohamaru, POV. Konohamaru grabs his bag that was draped on one of the lower branches and begins rummaging through it. Can you believe her? I usually do, she's very well informed. Yuden sniffs and turns a page. Konohamaru grumbles. You think she's annoying, too, right? Not really. Yuden shrugs. Then again, I'm not the one she has sexual tension with. Oh, come on. The Saratobi throws his bag to the ground in frustration. A bottle of water falls out and rolls toward Yuden. Yuden picks up the water and hands it to Konohamaru, who grabs it out of his hand. Wanna talk about it? Yuden looks up from his book. No. Konohamaru sits down. As Chunin, part of my responsibilities involve making sure my subordinates are in good shape, both physically and mentally. I'll punch you. Konohamaru says in a monotone voice. Assaulting a superior officer is a violati. Konohamaru pinches his nose and tugs hard. Ow, 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 ow. Hanabi, POV. Mogi approaches Hanabi, who's sat down in Seiza position with her eyes closed. She sits down next to her. So wanna talk about it? That's unnecessary. There's nothing to talk about. It was merely a training session turned sour. Sure. Then, why did it turn sour? Hanabi sighs. I was so close to victory and yet I couldn't achieve it. I was to show the entire union what we're capable of. And you did. Mogi reassures her. You got to the final and Konohamaru got to the semi-finals. You both were amazing and everyone saw it. You're also a shoo-in for that promotion. Me, on the other hand. Hanabi bows her head. You're right, I apologize. You've every right to be frustrated as well, and yet I make myself into the sole victim. It's fine. Mogi shrugs. I don't really have the weight of a clan on my shoulders. You two have it rough and I get that. Would have been nice to get farther in the tournament, but there's always next time. Probably gonna be less competition, too, since it'll be just Leaf Genin. You make it sound as if you won't be promoted this time. Hanabi looks to her. I know I won't. You're definitely making Chunin, but me? Doubt it. Hanabi stands up, brushing her robe from any grass that may have stuck to her. That outlook simply won't do. I won't stand for you bringing yourself down like that. So, I propose a tour of the finest sweets shops of the Leaf. You really don't have to. Nonsense. Besides, I insist. It would be a good change of pace to get away from them. She motions to the boys by the other tree. Don't you mean him? Mogi looks to Konohamaru. Don't make me rescind my offer. Hanabi picks up her possessions. Mogi giggles. Sorry. Nara household. Tamari paces back and forth, wondering if she's gone mad given what she plans on doing. She had a drink or two to calm her nerves and help her think about this better. Okay, Tamari, you've done this before. She psychs herself up. You've gone out with boys, so how did those go? She tries to recount her past relationship. There was that one kid who I threatened. There was also. No, I threatened him, too. She goes over through every instance where she's gone out with boys and has to sit down, staring at the bottle as a realization dawns on her. Have all my dates been the result of threats? She stands up, feeling too fidgety to be sitting down. Then she sits down, feeling too anxious to be standing. Before she can clearly play out a scenario in her head, she hears the front door open. He's early. She frantically looks around, trying to find a proper place for herself. As soon as Shikamaru enters the room, Tamari slams her fist against the wall right beside his head. Okay, so sticking to the old tried and true. Shikamaru looks at the slight dent in the wall. Hello Tamari, how was your day? Tamari breathes heavily through her nose, revving herself up. She gets closer, despite the redness in her cheeks, an intimidation tactic against shorter foes. You're gonna listen and you're gonna listen well, got it? You're gonna invite me to dinner at about 8 p.m. Ask me if I'm free. Or are you free? Shikamaru tentatively does as instructed, still confused as to what's happening. I am. Kind of you to ask. Now, you're gonna pick a nice place, dress in something less drab, and it's gonna be a fine evening. Am I clear? Yes? Tamari nods. Good. She removes her fist from the wall and heads out the door. She doesn't really get far before she freezes in place, her body refusing to listen to her. She looks down to see a shadow merged with her own. Shikamaru rubs his temple. Yeah, no, you're not just walking away after whatever that was supposed to be. What are you doing? Tamari demands. This is grounds for treason, you know. Assaulting a foreign ambassador like this. I'm the one who wants to know what you're doing. Shikamaru walks up to her and releases the shadow possession while he's at it. So what? I was clear, wasn't I? She tries not to meet his gaze. You were, I'm just not clear on the why. Shikamaru sighs. Tamari balls her hand into a fist. He didn't even get it. I figured we could spend an evening, what of it? She gets defensive. Just us. It's at this moment that Shikamaru pieces together all of her odd behaviors, her words, her overall demeanor. Oh, yeah. I mean, we can do that, yeah. Alright, good. Now let go of my shadow. I already did? She looks down, only now realizing she could move her body the whole time, she was just too absorbed in everything to notice. With her embarrassment only increasing, she rushes past him. 8 p.m. Don't forget. I won't. Shikamaru stares off into the distance. After a moment, he looks back, where Tamari had walked to, unsure if he just imagined the whole thing. Above the Hokage monument. If Sai wanted to, he could be at the top in just a couple of seconds. Such a distance is a trivial thing for a ninja, but walking up the stairs is oddly therapeutic. He occasionally glances over the railing to the village that keeps getting lower, and as he climbs, seeing the village in its entirety puts his mission into perspective. He realizes just how much is at stake and how what his job truly entails. It's not to hunt down one or two criminals, it's not to protect one or two people. It's all of this. It's why he likes coming up here to paint. It's peaceful and allows him to mull things over. With his gear in a pack slung over his shoulder, he walks to the spot he always takes. As he does, he sees it's already taken. A young woman, brown hair braided on only one side, has a canvas and paints out and is capturing the scenery in her own style. He tentatively walks over to her. Greetings, he calls from afar to get her attention without spooking her. He knows very well that an artist shouldn't be disturbed when they're working. The woman looks back. Oh, hello. She notices the pack Sai is carrying, not too dissimilar to the one on the ground by her side. Are you the ghost painter, then? Sai cocks his head. I'm uncertain if I'm a ghost, but I do paint, yes. How did you know? The woman points to a spot next to her, where the ground has the distinct imprints of an easel being placed. It's clear that it wasn't a rare occurrence, but that someone must have come here often to this exact spot. I keep noticing the imprints every time I come here. I've wanted to meet whoever left them, but it seems we never crossed paths. She smiles. I'm pleased that we could. Sai begins unpacking his equipment, taking out his easel, his canvas, his paints, and brushes. All of them treated with care and placed a fair distance from each other so as to not damage them. The woman takes pause from her painting, observing Sai's actions. Sai suddenly remembers something important. I've forgotten an important aspect in meeting someone new. He turns to the woman and extends a hand. My name is Sai. It's a pleasure to meet you, Sai. The woman brushes her hair over her ear. I'm Yakumo Kurama. Of the Kurama clan? He recognizes the name and its somewhat odd history. I don't know if we can call ourselves a clan anymore. She looks back to her painting. We're more a simple family by this point. Yes, I suppose that debacle severely weakened your status. Yakumo shrinks in her seat. Yes, it did. Sai notices the shift in her behavior. My apologies. I read past Rama should not be brought up in casual conversation. Yakumo raises a brow. You're an odd one. I wasn't quite expecting my mystery companion to be someone like you. Oh. I can leave if that would help? Sai prepares to pack his things. No. She holds her hand up to stop him. You don't have to on my account. Besides, I'm not one to judge on odd and I'm curious about your painting. My style is a bit more traditional than yours. He motions to her more realistic painting of the landscape. I fear it won't be as impressive. Yakumo shrugs. I don't see why that matters. As long as you're putting your passion into it, every art style can be just as beautiful. Passion? I suppose I am? Good. Yakumo smiles. Hokage's office. Sonata looks over the three portraits on her desk. The young genin who valiantly fought for the hidden leaf during this very unique Chunin exam. Konohamaru Saratobi, Hanabi Hyuga, Mogi Kazamatsuri. Shikamaru and Kakashi are by her side, and Ibisu and Hiashi Hyuga are sat in front of the desk, listening to their judgment. Hiashi, what's your opinion on the matter? Sanada turns to the Hyuga leader. Hiashi raises a brow. You wish to know whether I think Hanabi is ready for Chunin? Not Hanabi. She pushes the other two portraits forward. Konohamaru and Mogi. Interesting. Hiashi rubs his chin. But Lord Hiashi has not worked closely with either of them. Ibisu pushes his glasses. Would a judgment based on limited information aid in your decision? Maybe, maybe not. Sanada shrugs. However, Hiashi has a keen eye for talent. I trust him to have properly gauged them even from what little he saw. Konohamaru Saratobi certainly has talent. He proved to be able to think clearly and rationally, despite what some rumors may have said of him. His strategies were well planned and executed, even if they may have been a bit rough. I can't speak for his analytical skills or his mission performance, but from what I saw on the arena, I believe he has the makings of a Chunin. Master Konohamaru has definitely grown exponentially over the years. Ibisu nods. He's displayed a tactical mind that has led his team to victory. And Mogi? Sanada asks. Mogi Kazamatsuri? Hiashi stares at her photo. From the battles she was in, she fought well. However, I'm not certain if it was well enough for a Chunin. Ibisu chimes in. Mogi performs well in stressful situations and is always the one to get Konohamaru and Yuden to work coherently. I fear a tournament is not the best way for her to show her true capabilities. Shikamaru nods. And we agree with you on that. That's why, Kakashi speaks, we've plans to build a new testing system. It would still have the familiar element of a tournament, but there would be chances for less combat-inclined genin to shine in their area of expertise. Still, that's not going to happen soon. Sanada leans back. Ibisu, what are your observations on Hanabi? You had the chance to witness her abilities throughout the entirety of the Chunin exams. Hanabi Hyuga is, well, remarkable, I would say. Both her intelligence and battle prowess are well within the requirements for a Chunin. I dare say it wouldn't be long before she makes Jonin, as well. The only thing I would perhaps note is a certain short-temperedness she displayed, a sort of rivalry that she developed with Master Konohamaru. Hiashi furrows a brow. A short temper? My Hanabi? You must be mistaken, Ibisu-sensei. She's always had a steady mind. Would you say this? Short temper is a hindrance, Ibisu? Sanada asks. Well, no, I don't believe so. I believe it was a desire on both Hanabi and Master Konohamaru's part to lead and be on the forefront of decision-making. I believe when a clear hierarchy is present, there will be no such issue. I still say you're mistaken. Hiashi crosses his arms. Hanabi knows better than to let her emotions get the better of her and lead into an argument with a teammate. Shikamaru flips through performance reports on the three genin. Well, you never know. Sometimes the stress of a situation doesn't kick in until the very end. So, how do we judge them? Kakashi asks. Sanada taps her desk with a finger. Based on what we saw from their written and practical exams and the tournament, I'm willing to give both Konohamaru Saratobi and Hanabi Hyuga the promotion. And what of Mogi, Lady Hokage? Ibisu asks. As for Mogi, I'm going to save my judgment on her. Ibisu, I'm going to give you missions in the coming months. Handpicked specifically to allow Mogi to shine and truly show what she's capable of. If she performs well, she will be promoted as well. Kakashi nods. I'm inclined to agree. Shikamaru also nods. Does that sound fair, Ibisu? Ibisu bows his head. If that is your judgment, I accept. Hiashi? The man bows his head. Then, I officially announce Konohamaru Saratobi and Hanabi Hyuga's promotions to Chunin and Mogi Kazamatsuri trial for promotion. She takes two papers from a stack next to her and places her stamp before handing them to Ibisu and Hiashi. As she does, a woman enters the room. Lady Hokage, your next appointment is here. Lead them in. With that, Ibisu and Hiashi take their leave. The next appointment is a bit busier than the last. Naruto Uzumaki, Hinata Hyuga, and Awaji Uzumaki sit in front of Tsunada's desk, while Sasuke Uchiha leans on the wall to the side. Elder Awaji, you requested this meeting, I believe. What can I help you all with? I did, Lady Hokage. Awaji bows his head. I've been speaking at length with Lord Naruto and Sasuke of the final message left to us by Lady Mito. The warning of the great beasts of Tamamo Otsutsuki. I've tried to use what resources I still have in the capital, but I am unable to find how or where Lady Mito ever found out about all of this to continue the investigation. I tried my own investigation after I met with Naruto in the Land of Wind. Sasuke adds. of the Uchiha's past, which according to Mito Uzumaki is somehow connected to all of this. However, Sasuke holds his palms upward. You couldn't find anything? Shikamaru finishes the sentence. Nothing of substance. They revered some kinds of spirits, they were shamanistic. Much of it rumors and folktales. Some stories of Uchiha who could cause a pestilence. That's either an ability of the Mangekyo Sharingan or just a tall tale to scare kids. I don't know one way or another. Naruto leans forward. So we figured if we knew what Mito did after we met, where she went, who she talked to, we go look into it. Cause right now, she's the only solid lead we got into the great beasts. Sanada sighs. I really wish I could help you, but there's not actually much official record of grandmother's later life. I don't know how much help she'd have been. Is there a reason for that? Hinata cocks a brow. She was an influential woman, after all. Surely her life was worth documenting. That's actually something granduncle set into place to protect her. Kakashi turns to Tsunade. Lord seconded? This is my first time hearing it. Tsunade laughs. I would hope so. It's one of the most closely guarded secrets, but that's in the past, and I believe at least the group here can be trusted with this. She reaches into her desk to take out a bottle, pouring herself a cup to prepare for what she's about to reveal. Grandmother's mind suffered as she got older. We don't know if it was grandfather's death or something else that triggered it, but she was not herself. Part of why I became a medical ninja was to heal her, but I failed in that as I did in so much else. We're not here for a pity party. Sasuke rudely interjects. Oi. Naruto turns in his seat to glare at him. It's fine, Naruto, he's right. Sanada waves him off. Awaji stares into the ground. Lady Mito was ill? Of what? Sanada shrugs. No idea. No one did. Granduncle tried to find out, Saratobi-sensei tried, Lady Bawako tried. No one could heal her. So when you say you want to know where she never went anywhere. When you say you want to know who she spoke to only a very select group of individuals who are all dead, save for me. But what was wrong with her? Hinata asks. To the point where even you could do nothing. Severe memory loss, dementia, multiple personality disorder. Inoue Yamanaka tried to peer into her mind, but he found fragments of who she was and fragments of other people. She completely believed she was other people and would sometimes slip into these other personalities. She had names for them, names for other people in their lives. It was terrible to see her like that. Sasuke sighs. So she was crazy. Can we even trust anything of what she said in that case? Hinata covers her mouth in shock. But she looked so healthy when we saw her. Kakashi sits down. To think something like that had happened to Lady Mito. Throughout all of this, Awaji remains quiet. He has his hands clasped in front of him, his index fingers pressed against his lips. His eyes wide and his breathing shallow, a tear drops from his eye. Everyone lowers their head, sympathetic to the older man's feelings. He'd spent most of childhood admiring her, as a woman, as a person, as a kunoichi. She was among the best of the Uzumaki clan when the Uzumaki clan was at its best. They can't even imagine how he must be feeling to find out that his hero had gone crazy at the end of her life. Naruto, however, sees something that they do not. Awaji's eyes are not ones mourning the loss of a loved one. No, they're eyes that laments that could have been. Gramps. Naruto leans down in his chair. What do you know? Lady Mito. Awaji runs his hands over his face, wiping away the tears in the process. To think you went to such lengths. Everyone furrows a brow at his words. Shikamaru steps forward a single step. Elder? What do you mean? I wondered how she could have learned such ancient knowledge. Awaji stands up and walks over to the window, keeping himself steady by holding a hand against the wall. I was mistaken, Lord Naruto. Lady Mito did not travel anywhere besides her own mind. Sanada stands up and walks over to him. Awaji, if you actually know something, now's not the time to be cryptic. He turns around to face the room and takes a moment to compose himself. There exists an ancient, forbidden jutsu among the Uzumaki clan. Bloodline regression is its name. It is a jutsu that allows one to peer back through time. Or more specifically, it allows one to live through the lives of their ancestors. Gain their knowledge, their skills, anything one would desire. Sanada stares at him in disbelief. That sounds impossible. Kakashi shakes his head. I've studied many jutsu in my time, but I've never even heard whispers of anything like that being possible. Sasuke uncovers the left side of his face, revealing the Rinnegan underneath. Naruto and I were imbued with special powers and did things beyond a normal shinobi, and yet, nothing that would come close to that. Awaji nods. It was one of our most heavily guarded secrets. A jutsu that we would not use even as a last resort for fear of what happened to Lady Mito. He looks up at Tsunade. Lady Hokage, what you saw in your grandmother was not illness, but the side effect of the bloodline regression, and the reason it is a forbidden jutsu. Shikamaru puts the pieces together. What Lady Tsunade said about those multiple personalities in her head. She didn't create those, did she? Awaji nods. No. They were her ancestors' memories, mixed in with her own. But why? Kakashi wonders. What drives a person to insanity for viewing their ancestors' memories? You misunderstood, Kakashi. She did not view those memories as we would view a theatrical play. She lived them. She experienced every moment as if it had happened to her, every pleasant memory, every bad memory, every hope, every dream. It's as if they were her own. And for her to have learned of the time of the Otsutsuki, she must have lived through the lives of dozens, if not hundreds of generations. And when you return, sometimes you cannot distinguish which memories were your original ones, and so you lose your identity. You begin believing that you're a different person entirely. Different people. Is it not possible to return intact? Kakashi asks. It is. If you view your parents' or your grandparents' memories, then you would be safe from its effects, but delving deeper into your bloodline carries the risk of overload. Tsunade rubs her forehead. But that, she goes back to her chair, needing a seat and a moment to regain her senses. When that happened, the Uzumaki clan was still around. Why wouldn't she say anything? Why would granduncle not ask the Uzumaki for aid? Naruto straightens himself, having been taking in every word of what Awaji said. The message she left us. She said she didn't want to mess with what was gonna happen. Awaji nods. I believe so, too. The reason the second Hokage didn't do anything is cause she asked him not to. Naruto surmises. He never could say no to her. Tsunade gives a grim smile, despite these revelations. Elder Hinata turns to him. If you know of this jutsu, does that mean you know it as well? Yeah, that's right. Naruto jumps from his seat. Granny's in Uzumaki, and you said you'd be safe if you saw your grandparents' memories, so she could learn what Granny Mito learned. Awaji purses his lips and looks down. I fear I only know of it. The knowledge was lost with the hidden Whirlpool village, and I haven't a clue as to where it currently is. Tsunade taps her desk. If grandmother needed this forbidden jutsu to learn about the great beasts, and we know that members of the Uzumaki clan are responsible for unleashing the great beasts. Kakashi turns his head to her. You're thinking they possess the knowledge of this bloodline regression. I suspect the same thing. Awaji sighs. I pray that you are wrong, Lady Hokage, for if they do possess it and were able to extract more memories than even Lady Mito, we are dealing with an individual of great strength. Hidden Mountain Village. Kaitamaru sits on the floor of his office, cross-legged with jutsu formulae laid out underneath him. He goes through a long series of hand signs, the jutsu formulae glowing and seemingly being sucked onto his skin. Uzumaki clan forbidden jutsu. Bloodline regression. Just as before, he remains entirely motionless as the jutsu runs its course. And just as before, Mizushi remains by his side to remind him of who he is, should he forget. After several minutes, Kaitamaru returns to consciousness and quickly stands up, or tries to but stumbles, needing Mizushi to help him back to his seat. Do you know who I am? Mizushi asks. I do, yes. Kaitamaru pats him on the forearm. I'm fine this time. I'm Kaitamaru Uzumaki, 29 years old. Leader of the Hidden Mountain Village. Good. How far did you go? Kaitamaru shakes his head. Not far enough. It's becoming more difficult. Feel like my head's gonna explode. Then you get some rest. Mizushi begins making his way to the door. Kaitamaru looks out the window. Not at anything in particular that's out there, but more in the general direction he sensed someone special arrive. I don't think that'll be an option. Before Mizushi could ask why that is, the door opens as a young shinobi bursts in, taking a knee before the leader. Sir, Lady Ujiri has arrived in the village. Mizushi raises a brow. Were we expecting the daimyo? No, we were not. Kaitamaru waves both of them off. You're dismissed. The two do as instructed, leaving him alone for a few moments until the room becomes busy again. The daimyo, Ujiri, walks in, donning her robes and traditional headdress, decorated with the symbol of the land of woods. The woman's cold eyes scan the office before focusing on Kaitamaru. You've performed that jutsu again, haven't you? It's a powerful tool in our arsenal. Kaitamaru states. That knowledge is why we're ahead of our enemies. Ujiri sighs. Simply promise me that you will not jeopardize your own safety. Of course not, mother. On being called that, Ujiri lunges forward in anger. Her cold and elegant demeanor turns to fury. She grabs Kitamaru by the collar of his flak jacket and pulls him off his seat. "Don't you call me that. Don't you dare call me that," she cries out in her anger. "You're Kitamaru. Remember. You're the love of my life, Kitamaru." Kitamaru blinks, shaking his thoughts away. His eyes gloss over. "Right, of course. I'm Kitamaru. How could I forget?" He brushes her cheek. "I'm sorry, Yae. That's all right. As long as you stay with me." Yae runs her fingers through Kitamaru's hair and leans down to kiss him. End of chapter 50. Trivia. Yakumo-Kurama is from the Yakumo-Kurama Rescue Mission, Naruto episodes 203 to 207. Chapter 51, Academy Days Part 10, Tangled Threads. Yamanaka Flower Shop. There was a lot of work involved around the Shinobi Union meeting. It was such a big gathering, much bigger than what the security measures at the time could handle. But, with the work of the sensory unit, the new police department, and the Anbu, it all went off with no issue. Now, it's time for Ino to relax a bit. Back in the flower shop, surrounded by flowers and doing what she loves. Some might think it's a step down, that getting behind a counter is less exciting than leading teams, managing personnel, barking orders. And it is. That's also why it's such a breath of fresh air. The way Ino sees, it's exactly because she has such close contact with the people that she can do her job as a shinobi better. You also just need to relax in general. Right now, the shop has a few people looking through the selection she has, some looking for bouquets for a loved one or a potted plant to spruce up the home. One person she didn't really expect to come into her shop, ever, was Naruto. And yet, here he is, walking through the door, setting off the little bell, and looking around like a lost puppy. "Naruto, hey." Ino greets him. "What brings you here?" She leans over her counter with a smirk. "Trying to woo Hinata? Something like that?" Naruto scratches his head. "What, just going to mildly impress her?" Ino chuckles. "Setting the bar low, I guess that's a strategy. Unless," Ino steps back in faux shock. "It's not for some other girl, is it, Naruto? Tell me you're not." "Of course not." Naruto interrupts in a louder voice than he intended. The looks he gathered make him shrink in his spot, so he steps closer to the counter to talk more privately. "What kinda guy do you take me for?" "I'm just kidding, Naruto, geez." "Alright, what do you need?" He shuffles his foot on the ground, drawing imaginary shapes. Well, I was thinking, and I wasn't really sure how to do it, and I figured since you run a shop and all that you could help, although I dunno if there's a." Ino snaps her fingers to draw his attention. "Naruto, I can't help you if you don't tell me with what. I wanted to ask." He grumbles before looking up at her with eyes pleading for help. "How do I propose?" Ino stares blankly. She doesn't blink for a good while as she absorbs his question. After a few moments of very awkward silence, a smile creeps across her face. The smile grows whiter and whiter into a grin before she shrieks with glee and reaches over to hug him. Everyone else in the store raises the brow at the reaction. Ino lets go of her death grip and addresses the patron. "All right, everyone, the store's closing. This is an alpha-level code red emergency." She goes around the ones present to hurriedly assist them with their purchases. "Grandma's birthday? Chrysanthemums." She picks out a bouquet and moves to another patron. "Hanging pots? Have to go with begonias." Once everyone is out, she flips the closed sign and locks the door and turns around with a wide smile. "All right, what do you have so far?" Nothing?" Naruto rubs the back of his neck, knowing he's ill-prepared for all of this. "Oh, you poor boy." Ino gives him a sympathetic look. "We have a lot to work on." "Hey, look, it's not like I had a chance to ever learn this stuff. Or anyone to teach me to begin with. And besides, Hinata's from a big clan, so I dunno what the deal is." Ino winces, remembering Naruto's position. "Yeah, sorry. I didn't think." She walks over to him and pats him on the shoulder. "But you are right, the Hyuga are going to need you follow some specific rituals if they're going to let you marry their daughter. It's why I figured I'd ask you. The Yamanaka are a big clan, too, right?" "Yeah, but we're not really as stuffy as the Hyuga. Most clans kind of let the older tradition die out, but not them." "All right." She claps her hands and grabs chairs for them to sit down. "First things first. Parental permission. You have to go over to Hiashi Hyuga and tell him in no uncertain terms, 'Sir, I wish to marry your daughter.'" Naruto nods. "Yeah, I don't think this'll work." "Don't be stupid." She dismisses his worries. "Lord Hiashi likes you. In his own way. I don't think you have to worry about being rejected. If he was going to reject you, you never would have been allowed to live together. I guess." Next step is to set up a dinner where both families meet and exchange gifts. Ino takes a second to pause, seeing Naruto's hesitation again. Although, I can see where that might be an issue. Yeah, I don't really have a family. Naruto looks down. So would it just be a dinner with hers? But you do have a clan. Ino tries to cheer him up. You have a lot of people who care for you like a family would, right? It's gonna be alright, Naruto. She pats him on the shoulder. That's something you can figure out with Lord Hiashi. So, for this dinner, could we just no ramen? She cuts him off. Okay. The food at the engagement dinner is actually picked by the families, so you have nothing to worry about there. Each dish on the table is meant to represent a different wish for the new family. Like healthy children or prosperity. That kinda thing. Naruto raises a brow. Sounds kinda silly to me. Isn't food just food? It is how it is. Ino shrugs. So by the end of dinner, you two exchange ceremonial rings and congratulations. You're engaged. That's it? Naruto sounds surprised. I thought there'd be a whole lot more ceremony and stuff, but it's just dinner. Ah, but my dear boy, why do you keep calling me boy? The most important thing isn't the engagement ceremony, that's just old, stuffy formalities. Where you really need to shine is the proposal itself. The beautiful moment when it's just you and Hinata and you ask her to spend the rest of your lives together. So, lay it on me. You've talked to Lord Hiashi and he gave you his full approval. How do you propose? And I swear, if it has anything to do with ramen. I was just thinking of asking her when we were at home. At home? I feel like that was the wrong answer. Good. You're learning. Ino sighs and drapes an arm over his shoulder. Listen, Naruto, this is the most important moment of your lives. It has to be beautiful, unforgettable, romantic. You can't just ask her like you're asking her what's for dinner. Take her out for a picnic or for a moonlit stroll, just anything besides whatever you said. I guess I can think of something else. Naruto scratches his chin. I don't really know what she'd like. Well, you mull that over. In the meantime, I'm going to show you around some good places to host the engagement dinner. She walks over behind the counter to grab her personal possessions. You don't really need to do that, Ino. You've already done a lot for me. I can look around for some places on my own. Yeah, I suppose you can. But 1, I don't trust you enough to do that, and 2, I'm seeing this through to the end. I'm fully committed to you two becoming engaged. Walking through the streets, Ino's already filled Naruto's head with more information than he can process right now. The engagement itself is a fairly short process, but there's still plenty of etiquette surrounding it, which Naruto is not all that familiar with, although Ino's surprised to find he knows more than she thought. Hinata must have drilled some manner into that thick skull. She stops him in front of a particular establishment. This one's pretty good, too. Food is good, the atmosphere is good, and you can make reservations, so it'll only be you guys. All in all, this place is. Something catches Ino's eye. Through the window she sees 2 overly familiar figures dining alone inside. She approaches and practically glues herself to the window. Shikamaru and Temari? Naruto stares at her. I don't think this place is Shikamaru and Temari. Not even sure how that makes sense. No, you doofus. Shikamaru and Temari are inside. She beckons him to come to the window. Sure enough, the 2 of them are inside, enjoying a nice meal in each other's company. They also seem to be enjoying each other's company in general, being overly familiar and sitting very, very close. Hey, we can ask them what they think of the place. Naruto offers. Ino stops him before he can go inside. We're not doing that. We can't interrupt this. A cough snaps their attention to the door. May I assist you with something? A man dressed in a formal suit stares them down. The question was more of a polite way to tell them to leave. No, that's quite all right. Ino pulls Naruto away. We're just admiring. It's a very nice establishment you have here. Not mine. The man mumbles as he walks back inside. Continuing their walk through the streets, Naruto acquired a notebook to write down everything Ino tells him. Well, Ino actually acquired it for him. There's only a few places left to visit to mark as potential sites for either the engagement party or even for the proposal. Reserving a fancy place just for you and that special someone could be pretty romantic in and of itself. During this final stretch of their journey, Ino still has her mind on what by all accounts was a date between Shikamaru and Temari. All of her theories were proven true, and she has a lot of work to do to find out all the juicy details. As if that wasn't enough new information for her, in the distance she sees Sai. Nothing that unusual about seeing him walk the streets, he does that more than a person might expect. What one might not expect is for him to be accompanied by A woman? Once again, Ino pulls Naruto by the collar of his orange cloak behind a corner. You really gotta stop doing that. Naruto complains. SHH. Look. She pokes her head, followed by Naruto. Sai's with some mystery woman. He has to look around to actually see where Sai is, but his darker clothing is easy enough to spot out of a crowd. Oh, hey, is that Yakumo? She looks up to him in surprise. Yakumo? Who's Yakumo? And why do you know who Yakumo is? It's kind of a long story. She's Kurenai-sensei's student before teammate, and she's really good with genjutsu. I guess that makes sense. Then why's she with Sai? Naruto shrugs. Beats me. They watch for a bit as the two walk over to a particular shop, which upon closer inspection is a painting supply store. They stand by the window, which has displayed some paints offered, showing off the range of their colors. Sai and Yakumo enter and emerge not long after, each carrying a bag. Interesting. Ino smirks. Very interesting. What are you two doing? Kiba's voice startles them both, causing them to duck back further into the alley. Ino breathes a sigh of relief. Oh, it's you. Don't sneak up on me like that. She smacks him on the shoulder. Naruto points back toward the street. Sai's out shopping with Yakumo. For real? Kiba peeks out. Guess they are both into painting. It's obviously more than that. Look how close she's sticking to him. This, my friends, is a date. Kiba watches for a moment, giving a low hum. I doubt it. Sai doesn't do dates. Yeah, I don't see it, either. Naruto scratches his heads. Well, I didn't see either of your knuckleheads ever getting a date, but you both did. Ino jokes. Kiba smirks. So if you agreed to date a knucklehead, does that make you one, too? Not even gonna answer. Ino shakes her head before turning back to Naruto. I think we're about done for the day, anyway. Naruto leans back against the wall with a heavy thud. Oh, thank goodness. I don't think I could have remembered any more stuff. Kiba looks between the two of them. So, what are you two doing? He repeats his initial question. Well, I kinda asked Ino for help with some clan stuff. Not technically a lie. He doesn't really want to lie to Kiba, especially since he's Hinata's teammate, but for right now he'd prefer people don't really know about his plans. Oh? Does that involve spying on friends? Ino shrugs. That was more of a side effect. Alright, I'll be leaving you two to it. Thanks for the help, Ino. Seriously. Naruto gives any time. Ino smiles. With that, the shadow clone disappears in a puff of smoke. The lone notebook falls to the ground, some pages bending from the fall. Ino facepalms. Of course it's not going to travel with you. Kiba laughs. I'll get it back to him. He picks up the notebook and tries to smooth out the pages. Hey Kiba? Ino leans on his shoulder. Yeah? When are you going to propose? She asks wistfully. He nearly drops the notebook again. Where's that coming from? Hyuga household. Realizing that he left behind the notebook, Naruto decides to leave the job of getting back to a clone. The real one had a much more important task ahead. Before he could begin planning proposals and dinners, he had to speak to one of the most influential people in the village. The head of the Hyuga clan, Hiashi Hyuga, has to first give his permission before any marriage can go through. He's welcomed into the compound easily enough. Sometimes he forgets he's now a clan head, and so the way he's treated has drastically changed. An attendant leads him through the compound and to Hiashi's office. She kneels in front of the door and knocks on the wooden frame. Lord Hiashi, Lord Naruto Uzumaki is here to see you. He may enter. Hiashi's response comes from inside. The woman opens the sliding door, allowing Naruto to go inside. When he does, the woman closes the door and takes her leave. Naruto steals his nerves and sits down in front of Hiashi's desk. It's been some time since we spoke. Hiashi sets his smoking pipe by his side. To what do I owe the pleasure? Well, I didn't steal those nerves enough. Heard Hanabi made Chunin. That's pretty awesome. Thought I'd come here and give my congratulations. Hiashi nods. She performed admirably. I'm often surprised by my daughter's growth. Both of them, for that matter. They're definitely something else, alright. Naruto gives a nervous laugh. Hiashi looks him over, taking in his reactions, his somewhat nervous demeanor. The Byakugan doesn't just see far, these eyes of his have been trained to read people, a skill useful to both a shinobi and a politician. However, I get the feeling something else brought you here. Naruto fidgets in his seat. Actually, yes sir. He clears his throat, can't sound hoarse when asking for one's daughter's hand in marriage, after all. I wanted to. Terrible start. He shakes his head clear of the uncertainty which was never really part of his personality to begin with. I'd like your permission to marry Hinata. Hiashi has no immediate reaction, only staring him down with his colder gaze. Naruto tries not to break eye contact, but it's becoming increasingly difficult. This man is way too scary, especially when he looks like he can peer into your soul. I see. Hiashi finally replies. I'm pleased, I don't think I could have kept the elder at bay for much longer. He chuckles lightly. Naruto cocks his head in confusion. So does that mean you've my full support, Naruto Uzumaki? Hiashi smiles. Please continue to look after my daughter. I will. Naruto bows deeply. And as for you? Hiashi takes his smoking pipe and throws it through the screen door like a kunai. A girlish yelp and a thud follow. Oh, father. Hanabi enters the room, trying her best to act oblivious. I wasn't aware you were here. My, what a coincidence. Oh, and Naruto, too. My, what a coincidence. You said that already. Hiashi sighs. Hi Hanabi? Naruto greets her apprehensively. How long has she been here? Hanabi sways innocently in place with a large smile on her face. Her movements become more fidgety and animated until she finally breaks and rushes to tackle Naruto in a big hug. So, how are you going to propose? Where are you going to propose? When? Tell me everything. She barrages him with questions, her eyes practically sparkling from excitement. Hanabi. Hiashi scolds her. Mind your manners. Yes, father. Hanabi lets go of Naruto and sits down Caesar style, although she's still too close to Naruto than proper etiquette would require. It's fine, really. I'm grateful to be accepted. Naruto smiles. Well, of course you are. Hanabi relaxes. You're basically the only thing that's been on her mind for years. Hanabi. There's Hiashi's scolding tone again. That's not something one shares with others, is it? I mean, he knows, doesn't he? So it's fine. Yeah. Naruto nods. I found out what a fool I was all these years. I've been oblivious about a lot of things. I didn't even really know how an engagement would even work. He rubs the back of his head in embarrassment. I was told it'd be best to talk to you about that kind of thing. Hiashi nods and reaches for his smoking pipe, remembering that he threw it through the door earlier. It's true our traditionalist lifestyle might be a bit stuffy to others, even to clans as old as us. Normally what would follow is a conversation between the two households, however. Yeah. I kinda figured that'd be a problem. Typically in lieu of parental figures, the clan head would fulfill that role, but that's you. Hiashi scratches his chin. Maybe I could just leave a shadow clone to act as clan head. Naruto chuckles. Hiashi gives a hearty laugh, much to the surprise of both Naruto and Hanabi. As amusing as that would be, I'd have to advise against it. It needn't be an issue. We might not be able to have a proper conversation, but I see no reason for that to stop us. Hiashi stands up, evening his robes. Meaning? Naruto looks at him in confusion, as does Hanabi. Follow me. We've a family gathering to attend. With just that, Hiashi walks out the door. Hidden Leaf Cemetery. So this is what you meant. Naruto looks down to the graves in front of them, of a woman he doesn't know. Is this? Hiashi kneels down and cleans the grave. My wife, yes. I thought she should know her eldest is to be married. And you most likely have someone to speak to, as well, don't you? Naruto looks to the monument at the very back of the cemetery. A large memorial rather than a grave marker designated to honor the Kage who came before, in the shape of a stylistic flame. Yeah, I suppose I do. Thank you. Naruto slowly walks over to it. There's no need for thanks. Hiashi places a flower on the marker. He and Hanabi then walk over to two other markers not far from his wife's. He cleans his Ashi and Neji's markers, and they both place a flower for them as well. Hanabi clings onto her father's arm, and the two remain for a while longer. Meanwhile, Naruto walks up the steps that go up to the Kage memorial. He takes a moment to soak in the atmosphere, trying to put his own thoughts in order. I'm sorry, Mom, Dad. I wish you could have met her. She's something else. Kind, understanding, patient. Basically my exact opposite. He sits down in front of the stone. Seriously don't know how I haven't said something dumb to chase her away. Guess I was due some luck eventually, huh? He chuckles before quieting down for another moment. There's so much I don't know about any of this, so much I want to ask you. But I'll do my best. I'll do all I can to be a good husband, a good father, a good Kage. I'll tell you all about it over a drink when we meet. Hiashi and Hanabi walk over to him. I'm sure they're already proud of who you are, Naruto. Hiashi clasps him by the shoulder. I know your life has been full of hurdles, but you no longer stand alone. Hinata and, by extension, we will be your family. Yup. Hanabi hops over next to him. I mean, someone has to look after you too, right? Thanks. Naruto smiles as he looks down to the ground. Shushuya. Later in the evening, something of a triple date was planned. Naruto, Hinata, Karen, Jugo, and Sasuke had agreed to meet up and talk, put the past behind them once and for all. The problem being that Naruto and Hinata are a couple, and Jugo and Karen, well, there's definitely something going on there. So, to hopefully avoid an awkward situation, Sasuke needed help. Thank you for coming. He turns to Sakura, both of them being the first to arrive and waiting outside for the two couples. Well, you needed backup, right? We can be a fifth and sixth wheel together. Besides, we don't have that much time to catch up. Yeah. The two stay in somewhat awkward silence for a while. Sakura has no idea what to say to Sasuke, despite all the years wanting him to be here and to talk to him. With everything that's happened, any topic feels off. Those four sure are late, huh? She tries to make painful small talk. Yeah. Okay, where the hell are the… Hey. Karen waves to them, just rounding the corner with Jugo. Sorry we're late. Oh, it's fine. We just got here. Sakura reassures her. Sasuke and Jugo exchange a polite nod. On K, Naruto and Hinata join them from the opposite side of the street. Yo. Naruto gives a mock salute. Hinata bows. I apologize for our tardiness. It's okay, really. Sakura raises her hands in front of her. We were only… She pauses as Naruto gets closer. Did something happen? Huh? Naruto cocks his head. Would you ask? I dunno, you just look different for some reason. Sakura leans in for a closer look. Naruto tries to hide his face from the intrusive observation, his eyes subconsciously darting to Hinata. It's nothing. I'm just… He quickly flashes a grin and drapes an arm around Sasuke and Sakura. I'm just happy we're all here to share a drink, you know? Let's go. End of chapter 51. Chapter 52. Academy Days Part 11. Old Clan, New Tricks. Hidden Leaf Academy. Crystal Style. Branching Crystal Tree. Yakimaru slams his hands on the ground, turning everything immediately around him into blue crystals, blades of grass now resembling more glass spikes. From directly in front of him, the crystals extend further into the air, jutting out from different directions, each branch spawning several more in an oddly surreal tree-like shape. It doesn't really reach that high, definitely nowhere near to what Gurren can do, and the formation is currently too slow for it to be used offensively, however that doesn't diminish Yakimaru's progress any. His classmates stare in awe, still not entirely used to seeing this very unique jutsu, no matter how often they see it. Excellent work, Yakimaru. Tenten-sensei applauds him. You've grown a lot. Yakimaru bows. Thank you, sensei. Next up, Tenten looks through her list. Jiriki. Show us what you got. Jiriki walks up to the crystalline tree and looks it over. He can't use the Byakugan just yet, but that doesn't mean his eyes are to be underestimated. Something like this is no match for the gentle fist. He takes his stance, focuses his chakra around his palm, and strikes. Gentle fist. Palm bottom, the crystal tree doesn't budge. Jiriki himself remains motionless, almost as if waiting for a delayed reaction on the tree's part. Nothing happens. Jiriki tries to strike again. Fall, damn you. Shoto walks over, chuckling. Well, would you look at that? Guess the gentle fist isn't as almighty as your boasting suggests. Jiriki glares back. Got something to say, Teshin? I did. Shoto rolls his shoulder and cracks his knuckles. Watch how it's done. Earth style? Earth spear. Shoto's hand turns a muddy brown color, covering more of his skin than it did before. Now watch what the empty hand can do. Shoto takes his own stance and strikes at Yakimaru's tree with as much force as he can muster. No response. It's tougher than you might think. Is it, now? Jiriki crosses his arms. Yakimaru rubs the back of his head. Is it really that tough? Genzai shakes his head. No, their skulls are just that thick. Tenten steps in front of them and lightly nudges them back with the tip of her bow staff. Only step forward when you're called. And the point of this exercise is to show your own capabilities, not to bring others down. Got it? Shoto bows. My apologies, sensei. Jiriki bows. It won't happen again. Why do I doubt that? She sighs in defeat. They both walk over to their respective spots, trying their best to ignore each other. Of course that's slightly more difficult now as their friend groups hang out more often and they're all standing next to each other at the moment. Katori claps as Shoto rejoins. You guys have really gotten strong. Shoto rubs his knuckles as his skin returns to its normal color. Not strong enough. Your crystals are way tougher than before. Guren's been showing me a whole lot of tricks about it. I made it tough, but that's also why it was so slow to grow. I don't know if I can get to her level. Katori pats him on the back. Of course you will. Shoto nods. I'm sure Guren had to train a lot for it, too. Alright. Tenten calls out to bring order to the class. Kashiwama, you're up next. Kashiwama steps forward, just barely leaving the cluster his class has formed during the demonstrations. He flashes a big grin, forms his hand seals, and slams his hands on the ground. Earth style? Earth pillar. The ground right under the crystalline tree quakes, causing what was once grass to break apart, revealing the actual earth underneath. A column of stone rises directly beneath Yakimaru's jutsu, causing it to lose balance now that the ground underneath it has been made unstable and fall to its side. Kashiwama proudly places his hands on his waist, chest puffed out. Shoto stares for a moment before blinking. I often forget he's actually pretty good. Jiriki sighs. He has that effect. Tenten face palms and walks over to the now fallen tree. She sends chakra through her bow staff, causing it to lightly hum with power. She places the end of the staff on the crystal and presses down hard, shattering it with little to no effort. Okay, will everyone just forget about the tree? Kashiwama doesn't really let the remark get him down as he goes back with the same proud smile on his face. He turns to Katori. How was that? Pretty cool, right? Katori chuckles. Yeah, it was. Yes. The Senju boy pumps his fist. Katori, you're up. Tenten calls her out. Katori breathes in and steps forward, ready to try out something she'd been working on for a while now, something not even Yakimaru and Shoto know about. Aviary. Falcon. She summons two of the bird of prey she learned about in the hidden sand, and its coloring shows in the much lighter tone that helps it blend with the sand to hide from larger raptors. Not that the kids have much reason to be familiar with the plumage of birds from different regions. The two falcons fly around, showing off their speed and grace. They circle around as if gathering momentum, while Katori focuses her chakra to pull off new jutsu. Focus, focus. She psychs herself up. Just like the Raikage's book said, the birds can replicate jutsu to enhance their natural abilities. For the falcon, that's speed, and the jutsu for speed is the body flicker. Channel my chakra like usual and send it through the falcons. Tenten, seeing that Katori has something planned, doesn't intervene and lets the girl do what she plans on doing. Focus. The falcons pick up speed, becoming faster and faster. Ninja art? Aerial ace. The falcons disappear from sight. The classmates gasp and look around to see where the falcons went. They'd been watching with great interest, wanting to see more from the other very unique jutsu aside from Yakimaru's crystal style. A loud crash draws their attention to the training dummies. The fence behind one of them and the wooden base of another have sustained some damage, and the only trace of what may have caused it are the floating feathers gently swaying their way toward the ground. Tenten walks over to take a closer look and whistles in admiration. Not bad. Even I had to struggle to see them. Katori pants, having strained herself more than she realized. Aim's still off, though. Tenten looks back with a grin. If aiming's your problem, then you can count on me. Wow. Yakimaru looks in awe. Since when can you do that? Katori walks back to them with a grin. Impressed? I think I finally figured out what that book was saying. Only gotten this far, though. That's still awesome. It was even faster than a flicker. Shoto says. Faster than our flickers, maybe. Jiriki points out. Tenten-sensei could still see them. Shoto shakes his head. Man, do you have to? Katori pats Shoto on the shoulder. No, he's right. This is only the start. I have to work way harder if I want to master this jutsu. If anyone can, it's you. Kashiwama calls out his full support. With my command of the earth and your command of the skies, we'll be the ultimate power couple. In your dreams. Genzai smacks him on the shoulder. The group can't contain their laughter for much longer, the humor eventually catching on with the whole class. It takes Tenten a good few minutes to get everyone to focus on the task at hand. At the end of the school day, all the kids can't run out fast enough to get back home. Before they can part ways, Katori makes an offer to her group. Hey, you guys wanna go train? Sorry Katori. Yakimaru clasps his hands in an apologetic manner. I got dinner with Mom and Teuchi today. Then Guren's gonna show me some more tricks. And I have to train some more at the dojo. Shoto explains. Ah, yeah, that's fine. Katori puts on a smile. You guys have fun. She runs off down the street to head. See you tomorrow. Yakimaru and Shoto wave farewell and head home as well. Katori looks back as she walks home. Must be nice to have someone teach you your jutsu. Meanwhile I'm here having to figure it out all on my own. Even mom and dad can only help so much. Uzumaki clan compound. One task Naruto set for himself and for the Uzumaki clan is to get as many in fighting shape as he can. Years of hiding and being inactive from the life of a shinobi has led either to former skills being forgotten or skills never being learned out of fear of being discovered. As sad as it makes some of the older generation, it's a fact that the Hidden Leafs Uzumaki are not what they once were, so this is where this particular training comes in. Naruto walks back to the training ground attached to the compound with Karen and Jugo in tow. Karen tears off one paper from the clipboard that's seemingly glued to her, seeing as she carries it practically everyone, and hands it over to Naruto. And that's for tomorrow. A meeting with Lady Tsunade and Lady Fusuma, Lord Hiashi, has also requested a meeting. We have a shipment from the Hidden Mist arriving with items that were apparently taken from the Hidden Whirlpool years ago. Taken by the mist? Jugo asks. Unknown. Karen answers. She can assume that's the case, but if the Leaf and Mist don't feel it prudent to give details, it's not her place to ask for them. So we'll have to sort that information out. Naruto leads through the list. Yeah, I've already asked Elder Iwaji's son, Akashi, to assist us with those. He's one of the few who was actually taught clan Fuinjutsu, so we'll need him every step of the way. Thanks, Karen. Naruto folds the paper and places it in an inside pocket of his cloak. Don't lose that. Karen warns him. Naruto waves dismissively. Don't worry, I won't. You say that, but the way you just tossed it in a pocket makes me think you'll definitely lose it. I won't. I'm not reminding you of anything when you lose it. I said I won't, geez. Naruto huffs. That aside, Jugo tries to steer the conversation. Should I really be here? I'm afraid I'm overstepping. You're fine. You're also the one with most experience in this next to me, so there's that. Naruto shrugs. And besides, you're basically an honorary Uzumaki at this point. Naruto looks back to him with a grin. Jugo smiles. Thank you. The three continue walking to the training ground, not needing much time to actually get to it. Clan compound isn't quite that big. On site, they regroup with one of Naruto's shadow clones who's overseeing the current training program. Summoning. With Fukasaku's permission, the Uzumaki clan's more capable shinobi have signed contracts and are in the process of mastering the art. For some, it's easier than for others. So, how's it going? Karen asks the shadow clone. Before he can answer, he disappears in a puff of smoke and the real Naruto answers instead. Going well as can be. Karen looks between Naruto and the empty space previously occupied by the clone. Yeah, that's always going to be weird. They turn their focus on the training Uzumaki. Oddly enough, almost half of them are actually Elder Iwaji's grandkids. The eldest, Michi, is actually sitting on the ground with a toad about her size and having an arm wrestling match. She seems to be handling the bonding process well. Naruto remembers butting heads a lot with the toads he trained with, so she's doing better than he was. Speaking of butting heads, that's what the second child and only son is doing. Senjo, a man about the same age as Naruto, is in the process of arguing with a toad. Yeah, well, who needs you? The toad croaks. Dat how it's gonpi, huh? He shoots a stream of water that sends Sen crashing into a nearby tree. The toad keeps walking closer before stopping the torrent to stomp on him with his legs. If you don't needs me, why ain't you winnin'? Watch your mouth, son. I'll cook your damn legs. Senjo threatens, but it doesn't carry a lot of weight in his current position. The third child, Saki, of about 15 years of age, isn't really having that much more luck. She's in the process of being chased by a toad. You, stay away from me. Saki whines. Honey, you wish you could be this fabulous. The toad lashes out with her toad to wrap around Saki and pull her closer. No, it's getting everywhere. Saki tries to wriggle her way out. No. The youngest, Isuka, is a young girl looking about 12 years old, actually has no issues. She and her trainer Toad are sitting on the ground, drinking tea. I'm sorry for the noise. Isuka sighs as she refills their cups. Some people have no manners. Oh, I understand completely, dear. The toad croaks and sips his tea. You would not believe what a ruckus it is back home. Naruto broadly motions to the scene in front of him. And that's pretty much how it is. Karen rubs her brow. Well, at least it's not a total disaster. Jugo steps forward with a sigh. Looks like we have our jobs cut out for us. Sorry for dragging you into this. It's the least I can do for everything you've done. Not long after they're joining the scene and trying to bring slightly less chaos to chaos, Katori finds her way to the training ground, knowing of today's scheduled training and wanting to check up on it. She walks over to Karen to sit with her on the log. Everyone looks like they're having fun. She giggles at the disarray happening in front of them, most of the Uzumaki still unable to come to an agreement with the summoning toads. I guess that's one word for it. Karen laughs. You going to join them? Katori shakes her head. I don't know if it's for me. Still not sure about my place in this. Still having doubts, huh? Karen leans back. I mean, I'm not a real Uzumaki. Not like you or Dad. Katori brings her knees up to her chest. You're still going on about that, huh? It's true. She conjures a feather between her fingers. I'm something else. No one even knows what. Do you want to find out who your birth parents are? Your clan? Karen asks in a serious tone, knowing how heavy the question is. Yes? No? Katori buries her head in her knees. I don't know. I really love it here and I love everyone here, but everyone has family to teach them their jutsu and I'm here all on my own. You're worried you won't grow as a kunoichi? Karen surmises. Katori nods. Look, I'm probably not the best person to be giving advice, but you don't have to pick one or the other. You can still do your own thing while also being an Uzumaki. Just because you were adopted doesn't make you any less Naruto's family. He loves you, Hinata loves you, the rest of the Uzumaki do, too. So instead of worrying where you belong, firmly plant your feet in both places. I'll try. At this point, Isuka notices that Katori has arrived but is staying on the side. She excuses herself from the small picnic she'd made with her toad and walks over to the young girl. Katori. She calls out to grab her attention. Do you want to come with us? Gamaton makes really tasty tea. Katori smiles and stands up. Sure. Training Ground 3. With newfound vigor, Katori has set her eyes set higher than ever. No more doubting, no more uncertainty. She's still not sure if toads are really for her, as she has other tricks in her arsenal, many of which she's yet to master, so for now she doesn't need to learn summoning. Right now, she'll focus on what she can do. Ninja art? Aerial ace. Her falcons zoom past her, becoming invisible to the untrained eye. Naruto's trained eye sees them coming, but he doesn't actually need to do anything to avoid them, as they miss wide. Naruto looks back, scratching his head. I mean, they're fast and strong. It's just. Katori sighs. I know. They're too fast for me to keep up. Nothing a little practice can't fix. Naruto reassures her. Still, if the rest of your birds can do stuff like this, you'll be an amazing kunoichi. Sasuke hops down from his tree. I'm inclined to agree. From what Naruto's told me, this aviary of yours has potential. Makes me wonder why I've never heard anything about it. Not even Orochimaru had anything about them? Naruto asks. Not that I know of. Sasuke shrugs. If he did, that intel belongs to the Hidden Mountain. What if we ask nicely? Katori asks, hopeful. Sasuke shakes his head. I doubt that would work. Things are already strained enough as is. Actually. Were you even here, Sasuke? I was curious about this jutsu your daughter has. Katori gives a nervous laugh. It's nothing impressive right now. I just barely got the hang of the Falcon's ability. How'd you do it, actually? Naruto asks. You said you had trouble figuring it out before, right? Yeah, but I kinda stumbled into it, I guess. The Raikage's book said the falcons and hawks go really fast, so I kinda practiced a lot with the body flicker. I think I kinda used the body flicker but on the birds and not on me, I think? Naruto scratches his head. That sounds real complicated. It's pretty much what my Rinnegan picked up. Sasuke uncovers his left eye. You were molding your chakra and channeling it through your birds. You don't always do it, but you can connect yourself to your birds and use jutsu through them. They're like an extension of yourself. Whoa, really? Katori looks at her hands. Is that how it works? Is it? Naruto looks confused. From what I can see. So you say you were trying to use the flicker and then you accidentally created this aerial ace? Katori nods. So that means you just gotta learn a whole bunch of jutsu and use them through the birds. Naruto exclaims. An oversimplification, but that's the gist of it. Katori, what does the book say about the other birds? What can they do? Naruto sits down in front of her, seemingly even more excited about this than her. Lem check. She reaches into her pouch and takes out the booklet given to her of second-hand and third-hand stories about the Hyoku clan. So some bigger birds are so strong they can break rocks. Like the ostrich. And I should be able to look through the eyes of small birds like my sparrows. Strong enough to break rocks, huh? Naruto rubs his chin. If it's about monstrous strength, we gotta ask Granny or Sakura about that. And connecting your senses through them. That sounds like something a Yamanaka can help with. You're right, I can ask Ino for help. Although she already helped me a lot. Naruto grumbles. Help with what? Sasuke raises a brow. Clan stuff. Anyway, we know how your jutsu works. Naruto grabs Katori under her arms and picks her up, partly to bring attention away from what Ino helped him with. You figured it out. Katori desperately tries to hide her embarrassment. Put me down, I'm not a baby. She says, but her smile is not actually hidden. Naruto does as instructed but keeps Katori in a side hug, his arm petting her head. Right. We've cracked the secret. Now we gotta learn all the jutsu. All of them? Katori looks up in shock. Yep. Don't exaggerate. Sasuke sighs. Besides, you don't know what all of your birds should be able to do, right? Katori nods. Yeah. There's only a few written about. So it'll be a game of mixing and matching jutsu, huh? Naruto rubs his chin. Too bad the birds can't tell us about it. Would be easier if birds could talk. Katori chuckles. Actually, they can. Sasuke states matter-of-factly. They can? Naruto and Katori ask in unison. They can. Sasuke slightly unsheathes his katana, just enough to make a small cut on his palm. Going through a series of one-handed seals, he slams his hand on the ground, jutsu formulae spreading from his palm. Ninja art? Summoning. A large puff of smoke covers the entire area, but it's quickly blasted away by the mighty wings of a giant hawk. It lets out a large caw and looks over its surroundings. We don't seem to be in danger. The hawk states. What can I help you with, Sasuke? Not me, Gorda. Sasuke points to Katori. Her. Garuda lowers his head to be level with the stunned Katori. Oh, why you? Katori tries to stammer out her words. You? Garuda cocks his head sideways. You can talk. Garuda proudly ruffles his feathers. Of course I can talk. What do you take me for? Naruto looks between Sasuke and Garuda. Oh. I get it. Nice of you to catch on. Katori, show Garuda what you can do. Katori quickly goes through her seals. Okay. Aviary. Hawk, a normal-sized hawk, in stark contrast to the horse-sized one that Sasuke summoned, materializes as it usually does, flying around Garuda. The great hawk follows the conjured one with admiration. This is the Hyoku clan? I never thought I'd see it. Wait, you know about the Hyoku clan? Katori asks in surprise. Naturally. There isn't an avian summoner who doesn't know of them. We thought them long dead. You mean there's more? Katori's eyes sparkle. Many. Us hawks, the owls, the cranes, the roosters. Garuda lists off. Roosters? Katori furrows a brow. Like chicken? Garuda nods. Yes. They're among the mightiest that I know, not just among the avians. Chickens, though? Garuda, Sasuke interrupts. Am I to understand you're familiar with Katori's jutsu? I'm not, but if this is what you need help with, I can ask the elders of my flock. Garuda caws. Would you really do that? Naruto steps forward. I know it's a lot to ask for, but Garuda raises a wing. I'll do it. I've heard many tales of the Hyoku clan. Their name is respected throughout the nesting grounds. I'm sure the others will be eager to help, too. Katori hops in place with glee, barely able to contain her excitement. This is awesome. Now we can really start training. Naruto grins. Uzumaki Compound Training Grounds. When are we gonna stop training? Sen complains. He's far too beaten up and soaking wet for any more of this. On the plus side, the toad he'd summoned, Gamachu, is pretty tired out, too. Awaji laughs as he strokes his beard. Are you not up for the challenge, Sen? Easy for you to say, geezer. Sen wipes away mud from his face. You're not here busting your ass. Gamachu's eye twitches. He leaps forward, sending a massive fist crashing into Sen that's just barely blocked. Watch your damn mouth, brat. Respect your elders, got it. Arg, you're so annoying. Sen pushes back. What's your deal, anyway? Naruto told us to get you into shape, so that's what we's gonna do. Gamachu cracks his neck. Saki runs around and hides behind her elder brother. Why do we have to learn summoning, anyway? Saki's companion Toad struts toward her. Honestly, running around like that isn't cute at all. You'll never find a boyfriend like this. This is how we're to bolster our strength. We've lost much of the knowledge we once possessed, so we must make up for it in other ways. The Toads of Mount Mayaboku have been gracious enough to allow us this opportunity to bolster ourselves. Don't squander it. Yeah, feeling real honored. Sen mocks. Michi walks over, her and her toad draping an arm over the other's shoulder. I don't know what your deal is, these guys are great. Asuka nods in agreement. You're simply too hard-headed. Naruto walks over from the spot he'd been observing from. I mean, you don't have to do this, you know, it was always voluntary. I don't want to force anyone into something they don't want to do. Another clone walks to the other half-dozen Uzumaki who are also in varying stages of success with their bonding exercises. As if I'm gonna give up to a frog. Sen declares. Gamachu gives a heavy croak. Frog, huh, I'll show you a frog, you monkey. Saki slumps her shoulders. I might be ready to give up. I just don't get toads. I believe in you, Saki. Asuka encourages her with a thumbs up. Saki's eyes burn with a newfound determination. With Asuka supporting me, there's nothing I can't do. Sen slowly looks back at his sister. You're too easy to manipulate. Kyoto, who'd organized the Uzumaki in the hidden sand, walks up to Awaji, apparently being on good terms with his toad as well. It's a new age for the clan, after all. Try as we might to restore what once was, it's easier said than done. Awaji nods. It is. I can teach what fuinjutsu I can, as can my son, but it will be a challenging task to rise to even a fraction of what we once were. The toads have a lot of knowledge that can help. Naruto states. It's not what the Uzumaki is known for, but we can't look to the past forever, Lord Naruto. Kyoto looks to the Uzumaki still training with their toads. We had a chance once and that took us down a road of isolation. The toads are legendary in their abilities and will help us go to achieve what we can be, not what we were. I agree. Awaji pats Naruto on the shoulder. This is our future. The new Uzumaki clan. Perhaps some of our rank can prove skillful enough to master the sage arts. Awaji takes a glance at the ones currently training. Or perhaps not. Naruto chuckles. I dunno, Gramps. In time, they might all figure it out. Perhaps you're right. At this point, a shinobi flickers a fair distance behind Naruto. Sir, Lady Fusuma is here to see you. Fusuma? I'll go see her. Naruto walks away from the group, already seeing Fusuma Senju standing in waiting by the edge of the clearing. You guys keep at it. You're doing great. Doesn't feel like it. Sen butts head with Gamachu again. Yo, Naruto greets Fusuma. What brings you here? Thought I'd stop by to see how it's going. Fusuma nods in the direction of the trainees. Looks fun. It's going all right. Naruto chuckles. Jiraiya got me to learn it by throwing me off a cliff. Wonder if that'll work here, too. The older Kunoichi laughs. I'd advise against it. Naruto leans against a tree, overlooking the training. You've been checking up on us a lot. Thanks for being here. Well, we're family, after all. Have to make up for the lost years. Oh, yeah, the Uzumaki and the Senju are distant relatives, right? Fusuma shrugs. It goes even deeper than that for me. Lady Tsunade told me about grandmother, about how she spent the last years of her life. I never could have imagined. Yeah. Naruto lowers his head before whipping it back up. Wait, what grandmother? Mine. Lady Mito, Fusuma states. Naruto stares blankly. What grandmother? Oh, Fusuma scratches her cheek. Did I not tell you? I'm the granddaughter of the first Hokage and Lady Mito, Lady Tsunade's cousin. What? Naruto nearly falls from the shock. Seriously? Why does no one tell me this stuff? For real, though, you're… Really? Fusuma laughs again. You don't have to be so surprised. Look, she smudges the makeup on her cheek, revealing underneath 2 whisker markings. A touch fainter than Naruto's, to the point where they're barely visible, but they're definitely there. Those markings, they're just like mine. Naruto almost reaches over to touch them, but decides that's crossing a bit too many boundaries. Yeah. Fusuma runs her fingers across her whiskers. They're a sign that one has a bit of tailed beast chakra mixed in with their own, a descendant of a Jinchuriki. Kurama gives an inquisitive growls inside Naruto's headspace. I thought her chakra felt familiar. But, hold on, Granny doesn't have these markings, and she's Mito's granddaughter, too. Naruto observes. That's right. Lady Tsunade's mother was born before Lady Mito was a Jinchuriki, so she has no connection to the 9 tai I mean to Kurama's chakra. My father was born after she became a host. He had markings just like yours, but they're very faded on me. Kashiwama doesn't even have any. I see. I thought these were because of Kurama, but they're actually cause mom was a Jinchuriki. Naruto reaches over to his own markings. Man, this is a lot to take in. Sorry for dropping it on you. I honestly thought you knew. I had no idea. You must be an even more amazing shinobi than I thought. Naruto grins. Fusuma lowers her head, allowing her bangs to cover her face. Nothing of the sort. I'm nowhere even close to grandfather or grandmother, or even Lady Tsunade. I'm actually very weak, considering my bloodline. She looks up with a smile, trying to downplay the situation. Naruto shakes his head. I don't believe that for a second. Sure, the first was crazy strong, but that doesn't make you weak. We all got our own strengths. You've a very optimistic person, you know that? I've been told. Naruto laughs. Fusuma pats him on the shoulder and turns to leave. We'll talk again. Cousin. End of chapter 52. Trivia. Canonically, Tsunade's parent had to have been born before Mito became a Jinchuriki. And from Buwako Saratobi from the flashback of Naruto's birth, we know for a fact that Mito gave birth at least once more after becoming a Jinchuriki. Author's note. Did I name Kotori's new jutsu after a Pokemon move? Yes I did.